Welcome to the deep dive. We've received some, well, really compelling and, frankly, quite disturbing sources from you about the crisis unfolding in Haiti.
Yeah, really tough stuff to get through.
So our aim today is to really dig into this material, and especially the very powerful DW documentary piece, to try and grasp the core issues, what's driving this incredibly difficult situation.
And what jumps out immediately from these sources is just the sheer scale of the breakdown. Port-au-Prince, the capital. It's largely under gang control now.
It's staggering. We're hearing figures like, over 80% of the city dominated by these gangs?
Exactly. It creates this atmosphere of just intense fear, instability. It's a city under siege, really.
And right in the middle of it all, there's this figure that really grabs your attention. Caporal Tilla, Renaud Desire.
He's not just some minor player.
No, not at all. The UN sanctioned him, the FBI's after him for, well, a whole list of incredibly serious crimes.
Kidnapping, armed robbery, rape, hijacking. The list goes on.
And his stronghold, Cid Soleil. It's become almost symbolic of this gang power.
What's really insidious, though, is the narrative guys like Tilla try to spin. They claim, oh, we're filling the vacuum left by the state.
Right, providing order.
Providing order. But then you look at the actual experiences of ordinary Haitians and the sources you shared. It's a completely different, much more brutal reality.
Oh, absolutely. You hear from people who've lost literally everything. Homes torched, family members murdered.
Just devastating stories.
There was one woman. Her words just stick with you. She said she wished she'd been killed instead of her husband.
Wow. That level of despair, it just highlights the total collapse of safety, of hope.
And the sources point to this huge power imbalance too, right? The gangs often have better weapons than the actual federal police.
Yeah, which immediately makes you ask, how did it get this bad? And there are these unsettling claims that, powerful interests might have actually helped these gangs along for years.
Okay, so let's get into the specifics.
Yeah.
How exactly do these gangs maintain this level of control?
Well, the control seems almost total in some areas. People literally only go outside when the gangs allow it.
Imagine that. Your basic freedom of movement just gone.
And they're not afraid to show their power. Burning down a police station, that sends a pretty clear message.
Yeah, a message about who's really in charge and the state's inability to push back effectively.
And the impact on daily life in Port-au-Prince is just profound. That central plaza, the Champ de Mars, used to be bustling, vibrant.
And now?
Now it's mostly deserted. People are terrified of being murdered. Street vendors, they're barely scraping by.
Basic services too, I gather, like trash pickup.
Non-existent in many places. So you have uncollected waste piling up. And just getting across town, even for a short distance, it's become incredibly risky.
And the personal stories. They really drive home the human cost. A woman whose house was deliberately burned down.
Another whose husband was beaten to death.
And this chilling sense of impunity hangs over it all. Like these criminals know they can get away with almost anything.
Yeah, no accountability. It's terrifying. And this breakdown, it doesn't just affect safety, it's hitting every part of society, including Haiti's really vibrant culture.
Right, let's talk about that. The threat to culture, starting with the Port-au-Prince Arts Center. L'Entre, is it?
Yes, L'Entre. And its executive director, Alain Bosta, he features prominently. It's a crucial place for Haitian artists, supporting this incredible art scene that's known internationally.
An amazing resource, and it's right in the danger zone now.
Exactly. The center's surrounded by gang territory. You can apparently hear gunfire nearby constantly.
And they're protecting this huge collection.
Huge. 6,000 Haitian paintings and sculptures, some nearly a century old. There's this invaluable archive locked up in shipping containers, 247 security. It's a heritage under extreme threat.
But there's resilience there, too.
Oh, absolutely. Alain Bosta, he's determined to keep the center open, even just a couple of days a week. His quote really stood out to me. There's nothing else to do but exist in this country.
Wow. That says so much about the importance of just continuing, keeping that cultural flame alive.
It really does. And then there's the story of Jean-Herart Salur.
The artist who had to flee his home.
Yeah, a visual artist, sculptor, painter, forced out of his downtown neighborhood, and he lost almost everything. Over 400 pieces of his work gone. 47 years of his life's work.
47 years. And he started so young, didn't he? As a sandblaster's assistant.
At 11 years old, art has literally been his entire life.
And what's striking is that many of these artists, like Salur, they come from these really poor downtown neighborhoods, but their talent is recognized globally.
Exactly, which makes their current situation even more tragic. They're part of the world's artistic heritage, and they're in danger. Their work is in danger. It really makes you think about how we protect culture in crises.
Salur has this sculpture. He describes it as Haiti being a bird that flies all over, the mother of freedom. Powerful imagery, especially now.
Especially now. And he's exhibited internationally, so his voice carries weight. But his reality now.
Cramped living conditions, right? With family.
12 family members crammed together after fleeing, constant fear. He mentioned a stray bullet hitting their terrace. Imagine the trauma for the children.
Unthinkable.
Yeah.
So let's shift focus a bit. How do these gangs actually recruit members? What draws people in?
Well, the sources really emphasize poverty, lack of jobs, lack of opportunity. It's the root cause for so many joining.
Desperation, basically.
Yeah. Tilla himself apparently says something like, he gives people weapons, and that's their work. It's a grim transaction born out of seeing no other way to survive.
We also hear from another gang leader, Vossas. Different area.
Right. And his story is sort of emblematic. Born in the ghetto, started fighting to make money, and now he has things, a car, a house. It's this distorted version of success in a place with few legitimate paths.
And these gangs are expanding their territory. You mentioned Canaan.
Yes, Tilla's gangs took Canaan in summer 2023, drove out the police, caused this mass exodus, over 20,000 people forced to flee. It wasn't just random violence, it was strategic expansion.
It's just. The scale is hard to comprehend. And then you have Tilla and Vossas claiming they don't harm innocent people.
Which is just it's flatly contradicted by everything else we see, especially from the human rights groups.
A deliberate attempt to manage their image, perhaps.
Seems like it, even while the evidence points to horrific abuse. Which brings us to the human rights crisis itself.
The people documenting this.
Yeah.
They're taking incredible risk.
Absolutely. People like Rosie from Haiti's Human Rights Defense Network, their work is vital, documenting these systematic crimes that mostly go unpunished.
And the testimonies they collect, they're just harrowing.
Unbelievably so. There's an account from a survivor of that Canaan attack, filmed anonymously for safety.
What?
The gang members broke into her house, blindfolded her 13-year-old son, who was just screaming for her. And then she was raped by multiple young men. She said one looked like he could have been her own son.
Oh, God. It's almost unbearable to hear.
And it doesn't stop there. A father whose 6-year-old son was killed while his mother was being raped. A woman raped in front of her mother, who was then shot dead. And after the attacks, the gangs reportedly took the bodies, looted, burned everything, chased away survivors. It's a pattern. Systematic terror.
And then, contrasting with that horror, we see Tilla.
Yeah, and his pool house, as he calls it. It's such a jarring image. He's talking about learning construction from YouTube.
While orchestrating this kind of violence, it's surreal.
And while he denies his men commit rape, which strains credulity, he openly admits to forcibly displacing people, calls it a tactic.
A tactic? How does he justify that?
He says it weakens the enemy, stops them giving information, creates a clear fire zone to avoid, his words, collateral damage.
Collateral damage. For people losing their homes, their lives.
And his chilling logic, it's better to lose your house than your life. It shows this calculated cruelty, a total disregard for people's basic humanity.
So what happens to the people who are displaced? Where do they go?
It's heartbreaking. Over 1,600 from Canaan ended up in the former Ministry of Communication building, just sheltering in an empty public building.
Is there any government help there?
Apparently none. No visible government presence. People are sleeping on the floor. Children, babies. Dire conditions.
And we hear from Rochelle.
Yes, her story is particularly tragic. Displaced multiple times, then attacked and raped while pregnant. The beating was so severe she needed an emergency C-section. It just shows the incredible vulnerability, especially for women.
But even there, people try to organize.
There's an ad hoc committee trying to manage supplies, especially food, but it's desperate. Widespread malnutrition, particularly among kids, because parents lost everything.
Relying on occasional aid drops.
Exactly. Struggling for basics, like spoons to eat with. And remember, this isn't just Canaan. Over 1 million people across Haiti have fled the violence.
1 million people. And the former Minister of Culture and Communication. Just no response.
Apparently not. Which speaks volumes about the state itself.
Yeah, let's talk about the state. What's the picture there?
It looks like a state in near total collapse. The presidential palace. Still rubble from the 2010 earthquake, never rebuilt. Very. Government ministries, the Supreme Court, empty, boarded up. symbols of a non-functioning government.
There's a transitional council now appointed in March.
Yes, but they're operating out of a heavily guarded villa. They faced infighting early on, and their task list is just monumental. Restore order, tackle corruption, organize elections. It's a huge ask.
And the council itself acknowledges the history of complicity.
And the chairman did, yes. Admitted this long-standing connection between state authorities and gangs used for political gain. Politicians looting resources, funding the very gangs causing the chaos.
And the U.S. and Canada have sanctioned former officials for this kind of corruption.
They have, which shows international awareness of just how deep this problem runs.
So turning back to the gangs, how do they portray themselves? What's their narrative?
Well, you see leaders like this Dr. Dredd character engaging in outright propaganda, showing off his new swimming pool as a sign of his success, his status.
Right, and he makes claims about where their weapons come from.
Yeah, he explicitly mentions getting weapons like a Galil rifle from oligarchs, Haiti's wealthy elite.
Accusing the rich of fueling the violence.
Exactly, claiming they finance the gangs for illegal trafficking or to attack business rivals. It suggests this really twisted symbiosis between parts of the elite and the gangs.
And the documentary calls it an open secret that businesses use gangs for violence, kidnapping.
It paints a picture where gang violence is almost integrated into parts of the economy, and these gang-run toll stations...
Where people have to pay just to travel.
Yeah. Businesses, individuals, forced to pay tolls to move around their own country. It's a massive source of revenue for the gangs.
And they claim to use this money for the community, like that swimming pool.
Precisely. Frame it as community development, a pool for laundry, bathing while it's funded by extortion. It's deeply cynical.
And Tilla, he tries to paint himself as a revolutionary, turned on his masters.
Yeah, despite being known as the king of kidnapping. It's this bizarre, self-serving narrative. He even admits ordering kidnappings for ransom, but claims he was told to do it by powerful people, that they're working for the system.
Blaming the system while actively terrorizing people.
It deflects responsibility while hinting at that deeper complicity we talked about.
He also showed off an unfinished hospital project.
Yes, another symbol, unfinished, because, according to him, building houses for his fighters and fighting rivals took priority.
Priorities.
It shows where their focus really lies, power and violence, not community welfare. And kidnapping is rampant, 5 abductions a day in early 2024. The treatment of victims is horrific.
That brings us to the policewoman, Barbara Fevry.
Such a tragic story. A mother of a 6-year-old, killed in a failed kidnapping attempt.
She was the 17th officer killed just this year.
Yes. It shows the immense danger the police face and their losses.
And with the state struggling, people are taking matters into their own hands. This bail woos.
Vigilante groups, yeah. Young people catching suspected gang members, interrogating them, often executing them, burning them alive.
That's horrifying. But it speaks to the desperation.
Absolutely. It's a sign of total frustration with the insecurity, the feeling that the state offers no protection, no justice.
So what are the official attempts to restore order, the Transitional Council?
Their main hope seems pinned on getting help from that multinational security force to back up the Haitian police, who are just completely outgunned.
But that help hasn't fully arrived yet.
Not yet, which leaves a dangerous gap. The council says their goal is clear. Gangs lay down arms or go to prison. They promise to strengthen the police and army.
Easier said than done, I imagine.
Extremely. You see the police trying to contain gangs, often under fire, dealing with ambushes, like gangs planting gas cans. It's a constant battle with limited resources.
It's just such a bleak picture. But the documentary finds some light, doesn't it? Through art.
It does, and it's remarkable, even amid all this chaos and destruction. The street art in Haiti is vibrant, colorful.
A form of expression, of defiance.
Exactly. A way to shout it out loud, as one source put it. It's resilience made visible.
Like Jean-Hérard Siller salvaging some paintings after his studio burned.
Yes, he got some pieces out, moved them to a safer suburb, and his decision to stay, to fight by working and spreading my message, it's incredibly powerful.
And he's not alone. Other artists are doing the same.
Yes, choosing to stay, to create, despite everything.
And that art center celebration, the 80th anniversary.
Lantra holding a live painting event, it feels like such a potent symbol. Resistance. The enduring spirit of Haitian artists refusing to be silenced by the violence.
A reminder that creativity persists, even in the darkest times.
Absolutely.
So, wrapping this up, this deep dive really lays bare a devastating reality. Haiti's facing this multi-layered crisis,
Why?
powerful gangs, deep-rooted political complicity and corruption, crushing poverty, a collapsed state.
It's a perfect storm, really, resulting in just horrific violence, massive displacement, a profound human rights catastrophe.
Yeah. But alongside that, what also comes through so strongly is the resilience, the spirit of the Haitian people,
Yeah.
especially the artists.
Their determination to keep creating, keep expressing themselves, despite the dangers, it's truly remarkable.
It really is. And maybe that leaves us with a final thought for you listening.
Yeah.
When you see this kind of adversity, this level of loss, what is the fact that art still endures, that people still create? What does that tell us about the human spirit, about our need to survive, to maintain identity?
It's a powerful question. Perhaps looking into the work of these Haitian artists is one way to connect with that resilience, to understand it better.
Something to definitely reflect on.